Hey man, how's it going? We all know that villains like Joker, Thanos, or Lex Luthor are huge threats. But what if I told you that the biggest threat in the comic world isn't a being, but a philosophy? Today, we want to talk about Darkseid, the god of darkness whose goal isn't heroic killing, but the destruction of free will in all beings across the universe. This character isn't just a villain, he's considered a natural force in the DC universe. Ready to sink into the darkness? Darkseid's first appearance was in 1970 in the comic Superman's Pal Jimmy Olsen number 134. His creator, Jack Kirby, created Darkseid after his noisy exit from Marvel and joining DC. Kirby took this opportunity to create a completely new epic called The Fourth World, an epic that introduced two opposing planets, New Genesis, the symbol of freedom, and Apokolips, the symbol of tyranny. Darkseid was the heart and mind of Apokolips, a ruthless dictatorial ruler who inspired all the cosmic villains after him. Darkseid, who is worshipped as the god of evil, is considered one of the most powerful beings in existence. He is the high-ranking ruler of the planet Apokolips. Darkseid is known as one of the worst enemies of the Justice League team, the greatest enemy of the planet New Genesis, and one of the biggest threats to the DC Multiverse company. He wants to bring everything and everyone to their knees before his desires. He's also trying to rebuild the universe and the galaxy according to the image he has in his mind. Meanwhile, he is searching to find access to the anti-life equation formula. He is considered the main evil character in Superman stories and the primary enemy of the Justice League superhero team. He was born into a royal family on the planet Apokolips. He was the younger son of Yugakon and Hegra. Uxas, just like any other young man, had a great desire to take the throne of Apokolips, but unfortunately he had a peace-loving brother named Drax against him. Throughout his life, Uxas plotted to remove his brother and mother from his path. First of all, he murdered his mother to forcibly seize power and control of the planet Apokolips for himself. Before this happened, his father, Yugakon, failed in his attempt to unlock the secret of the Source and was trapped in the Source Wall. After this incident, Uxas traveled to the planet New Genesis and met a young, innocent, and peace-loving man. Uxas, seeing a specific potential in him, freed his pet bird and told the owner that his pet cat had eaten it. Uxas used this very incident to convince him to bury his pet cat alive. However, when the bird returned, the cat was already dead, and this young boy became extremely angry. This young boy soon adopted the name Darkseid and became one of Uxas's most trusted advisors. After a while, the two became very close. Finally, when Uxas discovered his connection to the Omega Realm, he saw the opportunity to access its power as suitable. Drax, on the other hand, also intended to access this power and gain his godlike name. Then, during a plot, Darkseid, one of Uxas's followers, betrayed Drax, his brother, in his attempt to access the Omega power. Uxas then murdered his brother too, and declared himself the true heir of the Omega effect. As a result, he gained enormous power and found a huge motivation to achieve his goals. This incident led him to become a rock-like creature and choose his godlike name, Darkseid, the most terrifying godlike name that exists in the sacred and ancient books of Apokolips, a name no one dares to choose for their divine name.
At one point in time, and only once in his entire life, Darkseid fell in love with someone else. He fell in love with a woman named Suli and took her as his wife. Suli was a scientist who believed that superhuman powers should be used for good and benevolent ways, not for conquering a place or a thing. Queen Hegra feared that Suli might corrupt and lead her son astray, so she ordered Darkseid to murder Suli. But the story didn't end there, and Suli left her husband a son named Kalibak as a memorial. After Suli's death, Darkseid, for revenge, forced Darkseid to poison his own mother. After these events, Darkseid banished love from his mind and never became attached to anyone again. Darkseid also knew about his own future. Although Darkseid knew about the prophecies and knew he would eventually be murdered by his son, he didn't do the slightest thing to win his heart and prevent the event from happening. It's still unclear what happened during the first few thousand years of Darkseid's rule, but eventually a massive war broke out between the planet Apokolips and New Genesis, a war that was most likely created by Darkseid himself. To stop this fight, which would certainly lead to the destruction and extinction of the New Gods, a contract and pact was established between New Genesis and Apokolips. The terms and conditions of this pact were that the character, Scott Free, aka Mr. Miracle, the son of the new Genesis leader, Highfather, or Isaiah, had to be exchanged for Darkseid's son, Orion, in a deal. This deal and exchange seemed like a really strange move for the cunning Darkseid. It was prophesied that Orion was the one who would kill him, but Darkseid knew beforehand that the raging fire inside his son was hotter than the fire created in the pits of the Apokolips planets. On the other hand, Darkseid knew that when his son Orion's wrath was unleashed, all the new gods would tremble, all the gods, except Darkseid. Eventually, when the time is right, Orion will also kill his father and end his tyrannical and autocratic rule. Just like other dark gods, Darkseid has also been searching for a way or means for a very long time to rule over everything that was created. When Darkseid realized that an anti-life equation formula existed, he decided to dedicate all his time and life to finding this formula and discovering its equation. A formula that can destroy free will and allow him to conquer the universe and take control of it, just as he took control of the planet Apokolips and shaped it as he desired. He eventually managed to obtain this formula while traveling throughout the multiverse, and when he used this formula, it led to events that started the Final Crisis storyline.
Darkseid's army is just as ruthless as he is. Parademons are his foot soldiers, winged, mindless creatures built from the dead beings of various planets. Also, the Grand Masters of Apokolips, like Darkseid, Steppenwolf, and Godfrey, are his senior commanders, each masters in torture and mind control. Darkseid, with just a single command, can dispatch this entire army to bring any planet to its knees. The interesting point is that even Batman went into direct battle with Darkseid and was forced to break his biggest rule to stop him. Batman used a gun for the first time to wound Darkseid, but Darkseid in return shot his Omega beams at Batman. This moment showed that Darkseid is not only Superman's most powerful enemy, but that heroes like Batman must also pay a heavy price to defeat him. If you want to truly understand the depth of this character, you definitely need to read these comics. The New Gods, Volume 1, Jack Kirby's original series to understand all the background and philosophy of the Fourth World. Great Darkness Saga, Legion of Superheroes. This story shows just how evil and powerful Darkseid can be, even thousands of years in the future. Final Crisis, written by Grant Morrison, the best story for understanding the threat of the anti-life equation and his battle with Batman and Superman at the highest level. Ultimately, Darkseid is more than a villain. He is a natural force, an immortal god, and the embodiment of absolute tyranny. Whenever DC wants to show a threat that will engage the entire universe, they play the Darkseid card. He knows that killing is easy, but destroying free will is the greatest victory. Well, guys, that was the complete introduction to one of the deepest, most dangerous villains in the comic world. Who do you think can definitively defeat Darkseid? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. If you like this kind of video, make sure you subscribe to the channel and hit that notification bell so you don't miss out on new videos. Until the next video, take care.